Welcome to Super Hero Shonen Punch, a roller coaster of a show with no set release time.
It's true.
I'm your first puncher, Dave Sickler, here with my fellow puncher.
Here to punch. Hello, I'm Josh.
It's good to see you again, bud.
I know, it's been too long, Dave.
Oh, I'm excited though, because I think today's topic is a lot of fun, and it's our first non-comic or anime topic.
It's true. Although I do still have comics and things that I want to talk about. But yeah, this is the first non-comic anime topic, and I'm hyped for it because it was a massive piece of media, and it took over the internet and my mind. I love it.
Well, and also, apparently we can give options in the last episode, but I feel like we almost never go with the topic that we think we're going to go with at the end of our previous episode.
Yeah.
So, today we're talking about The Last of Us.
Hey!
I think primarily the show, but I'm down to dip into the games a little bit too.
Oh, I think we cover it holistically. I think that's the way to go. How can you talk about the show without the games if you've played them? But yeah,
I don't know. Especially, yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah. Well, before we do, Dave, what's new? If you done anything fun, watched anything, what's up?
I'd say one of the newest things is I have a new dog.
Oh,
I don't know if you can see it from here, but she's in the background on the bed there. I think you can actually see her. That's Clover.
Yeah, she's such a cutie.
Mm-hmm. So that's been a transition.
We stand Clover.
Fun. That's right.
Was Clover potty trained when you got her?
Yeah, for the most part.
Nice.
It's funny, she's a little bit of a flighty dog, so it's been really random times when our landlord came up and was making noise and a new sound. She pooped on 2 beds.
Oh.
Yes.
Like she in the span of what time? How long did it take her to poop on 2 beds?
So he came up and I was showing him like where we were going.
Yep.
Like to check on like smoke detectors or something. And I look over and I think I started smelling it, and I looked over and see her squat, and I'm like, no, stop. And she had pooped on the bed, so I like drug her off and took her into our other bedroom. I'm like, okay, she'll be out of the way, she'll be relaxed and not be quite as freaked out. So like I go and bag that, and I'm like, okay, I can spray it a little bit or spray it later. He can take care of what he's doing, and we can be fine. And like a few minutes later, Jess comes in and she's like, she pooped on that bed too, like just now. Within like, she probably went into that other one and finished the job because I'd cut her off mid.
That's exactly
mid-go.
what I'm thinking. Your dog's pooping on the bed. She's got poop hanging out her bum hole. And you're like, no, come here. Go into this room. Stop. Wait in this room. Shuts door.
Yeah, Jess told me I probably should have put her in her kennel, which would have at least.
I can hear Jess's like confusion opening that door and just getting smacked in the face with the smell of a steamy old poop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it was not too bad to clean up. It wasn't as gross as it could have been, but
yeah,
the life and times of the Sicklers.
Love it. Are you able to hear my dog barking right now?
A little bit, not too much.
Okay. She thinks the story's great. She's going crazy. If it is too much, let me know, and I will go and make her stop.
You're fine.
Okay. I can't make her
It's
stop.
not like a sneeze.
Yes. Two. Very cool.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things. I was trying to think of like what I've been doing lately, because I got away from manga for a while, and I was actually listening to a lot of audiobooks. I went through, like, my wife has the year Audible thing, so we get a new credit every month.
Nice.
So I hijacked that a little bit.
The noise you just made. Clip that noise. I'm telling you, it's worthy. You're like, oh
no.
Okay, sorry. Audible.
Yes. So I found a series that it's been weird. It was like on one of the top charts of like the fantasy, that end of like fiction. And I got the first couple and it's been awesome. It's called He Who Fights with Monsters or something like that. I mean, I'll get it right.
Dave,
but it's by
hang on. Hey, what?
What? Are you a monster fighter? We're experiencing Josh difficulties here, so if you'll pardon us while we wait. Isn't he so handsome?
Okay, so it's called He Who Fights with Monsters.
Uh-huh.
And what is it about?
So it's by a guy named Shirtaloon. Actually, Travis Devrel. And I got into it, and it's a web series that he writes, that I think he releases and has like a Patreon that gets it early and stuff like that. But it's really re-released as a audio book in sections, and it's an ongoing thing. I think they're on number 10 right now. I'm listening to that right now. It just came out. And it's been awesome. It's like how do you call it? Like it basically feels like an isekai, which is my bread and butter. Dude gets reincarnated in another world after getting basically killed. And it's him trying to figure that out in a world of monsters and magic.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. You seem like you're teed up for something, sir.
Okay, so I thought it was something else. So it's not as exciting. Okay. So one of my favorite comic series, I was like, maybe they're connected, and I just like never knew it. Is called He Who Fights Monsters. And I'm a sucker, so I have like...
That's what it's called.
I have like a ton of the covers, and it's great.
Is it an old series?
No, this is last year, 2 years ago.
Did they? So what's the guy's name? The main character.
Oh, I don't remember his name.
Is it Jason Asano?
So it's okay. So no, I don't think so.
That's the exact same name.
Well, so this is. So okay, is this like World War II? We're fighting Nazis story, because that's what the comic is.
Oh no.
Yeah. So that's the comic, and then there's a book, and this guy finds the book, and I don't want to spoil anything from it, because it's great and I love it, and I don't want to do it
what does it say the author and artist is?
I don't even know how to say these names.
Francesco Artibani and
yep.
Werther.
That's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And then I love the artwork, the story. It's written well. They had so many fun covers that they did with it too. There ends up being a clay golem that is like it's a huge driving point of the plot. And they just did a great job bringing it in a way that was still grounded, not too world breaking. It was fun. It was a great series. Limited series, so it's over now, but it was great. I loved it.
That's what a weird coincidence, though. That's the exact same. Like,
I was like, maybe it was based on a book, and I had no idea.
I have no idea, because So
I think that's the thing is I thought this comic was based on a book, but I could be totally wrong.
yeah, I'm not. So I think the guy's Australian. I'm not completely sure. The main character is the guy that reads it for the series, for the audiobook is. So I'm pretty sure he is.
Okay.
So maybe they are far enough apart that there's no like copyright stuff.
Maybe.
But weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been
well,
listening to that. It's great.
that's awesome.
And then I've been listening to the Red Rising trilogy, which has been a lot of fun.
Nice.
That's
I've heard good things about it.
It's pretty sick. It's like classist power struggles in fantasy future. Not fantasy, but like future high tech
Nice.
stuff. Good stuff.
Awesome.
What you been up to?
What have I been up to? Celebrated my wife's birthday. We had a great time. It was super fun.
Nice.
Took the day off, got some tattoos, went to Dave and Buster's. I
Do you
saw
want to talk about your tattoo?
Oh, I got your name on me.
That's right.
Yo, it's an elevator button. It says down, David. This whole arm, my goal is to have just like weird experiences or stories that I think are just funny to tell. So, like, I had a machete pulled on me once, and I'm gonna get a machete down my elbow here, which I'm super hyped
When
about
did that happen?
That was a few years ago. That was it was a year after Chelsea and I got married, so 2017. You not hear this story?
I think I did, but I need to hear it again.
Okay, so I was the monitor for a soup kitchen at the time, as a part of my job, which just meant I was at the soup kitchen. I made sure we followed code if there was like food issues, but other people were there that knew like the food regulations better than me. So like I didn't do anything with that. And if there were an issue with anyone who was at the soup kitchen, typically like maybe health emergency or like extreme crisis where somebody could intervene in a way that would be helpful. That was like the sort of thing I would do. But that also came with that if there were challenges with someone at the soup kitchen, or if someone was disorderly and had to leave. That was also a part of my responsibility, was having those discussions. And one day we had a traveler come in who he had this beautiful, massive, beautiful pit bull. And I had seen him around for like a week or so. I was working with the homeless population in Saratoga County, so I knew a lot of the people that were there and unhoused, and I had recognized him from some of the other things that we had been at. But he hadn't come to the soup kitchen yet. So he came in, and I was like, oh, hi, let me introduce myself. I'm Josh. Thanks so much for being here. Sort of, the whole spiel. And then I'm like, hey, I hate to do this. I'm so sorry to do this. Because of the food regulations, we're not allowed to have dogs in the kitchen. So your options, if you want to wait outside, I will bring food out to you. You just let me know what you want to eat. Or I love dogs. I have 2 pit bulls. I'll wait outside with your dog if you want. Totally up to you. And he had this long trench coat, and he's like standing there like right over me, and he just pulls it back, and there's like it looks like a sword handle, like a hilt. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, why is he showing me this? And then he just drops his dog's or it's in the scene, he like drops his dog's leash and just goes shing and pulls out a freaking machete. Like, it was one of those fight or flight, like, what do you do? So I just stood there. Like, if he wanted to kill me, he could have, but he didn't do anything. And then somebody tackled him, and that was it. That's all that happened. It was crazy, dude. It was nuts, but pretty uneventful. He didn't even swing.
Oh yeah.
But
it's just a Monday.
Dude, the things I saw at that kitchen were nuts. But
did he explain it all, or was it just that in his head that was too much type of thing?
I have no idea. I mean, he got.
Yeah.
People were not very kind to him after he did that. So he left. He was taken out of the building forcefully by plenty of people. And I never saw him again. I'm fairly certain that he was kind of chased off by people, but it was weird. So I'm going to get a machete because it's like, what an experience. Like that, that happened. So I'm going to live with it. So it's cool.
I appreciate, like, I like that idea. It takes a lot of guts to just have stories like that. And you're very good at telling stories. So it's neat.
No, thank you. But yeah, this one is just a dude named David got on an elevator with me and my wife, and we were going down, he was going up. That's the whole story. That's it. So, sometimes it's stupid. I love it. But what else is new? I saw the Mario movie, loved it. Highly recommend. There's no story, but it's so fun. I mean, literally, awesome. It's stupid, but it's so good. Evil Dead Rise. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was great. It was a little heavy-handed in foreshadowings. Like Chekhov's gun was like every 5 minutes for the first 30 minutes of the movie. It's like, here's another one. Here's another. And then what was annoying was they're like this isn't what happened, but as an example, it'd be like, oh, I hope nobody sticks their hand down the drainage, the sink and gets caught in the grinder. And then somebody's like, whoa, and it's like, come on, just either do it or don't do the whole stupid. But it was a little heavy-handed with that. That's my only real complaint with the movie. The actors were great. They did a great job. It was awesome. It was very Evil Dead.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've only seen clips from Evil Dead. I need to dive in at some point.
Dave, we gotta watch them.
I'm sorry, Josh.
We gotta watch them. We gotta watch The Thing first. That's my favorite scary movie. And then
I really should,
we'll
just as like even a film history thing, because that's so huge for a lot of people with the like, what do you call it? Like
the practical effects.
Practical monster effects and everything else, and it looks very gross.
It's great. I think you'd enjoy it. It's not scary. It's not like keep you up at night, but it's a very fun ride. And there's one scene where they pulled the suspense off so well that it's like, I mean, in my opinion, like you can see its influence on most films after that have, overlapping genres. You can it's palpable how much of an impact it made on films. Yeah.
It is crazy when you finally see those touchtone films or moments and you see how often they get reused or get like the tip of the hat.
Yep.
Because like there's a classic anime, Akira, that most people have at least heard of. And there's even like I watched a supercut of there's a scene where one of the main characters is like driving around and he does like a power slide I got a really cool shot where it basically comes from where you are and he like power slides away from you.
Okay.
If that makes sense, like from you away, and it looks sick.
Yeah.
And there's probably like 100 different movies that have a very similar shot and slide, both real and animated, like live action and animated. And just it's one of those like, it opens up like a world of like,
is
people
that... Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good.
Is that
people have been affected by it
on the bike when like they turn and it just like, okay,
basically. I don't know if it's like the first time anyone ever is like power slided a bike in a show or anything like that, but it's that particular angle and shot and the way it happens.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's awesome. I also I think you'll appreciate this. I've been saving this one. I got demanded to say some lines very aggressively that I didn't know were from one of your favorite shows, SpongeBob. And there are now people that I was playing Among Us with them, and they are decided that I am a voice actor from SpongeBob. I'm honored.
Really?
Absolutely thrilled. No, I don't even remember what the line was. It was like my leg fish. They kept making me, because I was screaming at them in Among Us. I was like losing my mind, and I'm like yelling at this guy. I'm like, this guy just hopped in the friggin' vent, and I'm like losing my mind. And then they're like, stop, and I'm like, what? And they're like, can you say something for us real quick? And I was like, what? We're playing a game. And they're like, we swear it's worth it. Just say something for us. And so they told me these things to say, and they're like, shout it. And I was like, sure, what the heck, I did. And I'm not going to lie, they recorded it. It was pretty close. That's
pretty cool.
So, yeah.
That's a classic line.
I'm in SpongeBob now.
It's the Wilhelm scream of SpongeBob.
Okay.
My leg! Because they reuse it a lot. It's great.
Nice. Oh, did you see the original Wilhelm scream? The original recording was like found or discovered or something. I just saw that in a headline somewhere. Maybe
That's cool.
Maybe it was clickbait, but yeah.
That's another cultural touchstone that gets reused all the time.
Yeah.
By like sound engineers and stuff. It's in. Have you ever watched like a supercut of that screen?
Yeah.
'Cause it's in everything.
So funny. Oh, I have one last before we dive in, one last topic that I would like to hear your thoughts on. Did you see the Magic the Gathering drama?
No, what happened?
Oh, Dave, where you been? Okay, so
I live under a rock.
Yeah, you do. Magic the Gathering. They had a customer who bought a booster pack, and they sent out a booster pack. There's a very similar named booster pack that has not yet been released, and he was accidentally shipped the wrong pack. So this dude got a booster pack before it was released, and he opened it up on stream. Like he was on Twitch and opened up the pack. And Wizards of the Coast response was to send the Pinkertons. This is not a joke. The bad guys from Red Dead 2. Do you know they're still around?
I didn't, because it's a real group that like in the 1800s would go rough up people for companies, like before, like in the whole process of unionization and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Yo, these freaky boys are still doing their thing. They're still waving at the wind, and they showed up at this dude's house like, give us the cards, dog. And they intimidated his wife. Like, his wife said she was scared and stuff. And they like literally rolled up to his house and were like, give us the cards. Over Magic the Gathering.
Oh gosh.
I can't believe it. It's like the thousands of options that you could go to before sending the Pinkertons to somebody's house.
You could save the literal money that you paid them and probably offer the guy that money and probably get the cards back.
Right? So the dude, he was super cool about it too. Like, after the fact, he like posted a Twitter update. He's like, hey, like, they called me, like, no hard feelings either way. It's like, bro, no hard feelings either. They sent a mob to your house, dog. No hard feelings. He's like, no, I'm just gonna send it back. Like, it's all cool. It's like, oh my gosh. Like, it blows my mind. It blows my mind. It's crazy.
That's insane.
It has real Nintendo energy of like, actually, we kind of hate our fans. Actually, we don't like the people that buy our products.
I've kind of heard that there are essentially Nintendo Pinkertons that will roll up to people's places and like kind of. I don't know. I don't know anything of the actual stories of if there's threatening or anything like that, but I've at least heard that they have people that go and try to stop either people leaking or people hacking or whatever else.
I mean, didn't they shut down a Super Smash tournament like a year or two ago?
That
They were basically like,
doubt it.
you can't do this, and it's like, we're playing your game, dude. What are you doing?
I've never understood that. Like, I remember, I think it was the Wii U version. They seemed to deliberately not make it as competitive for a while. It's just, guys, just embrace the nerds like you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I don't think, yeah. And it's sad knowing that, okay, Breath of the Wild 2 is going to come out. I spent a lot of time on Twitch. I'm not going to watch Breath of the Wild 2 on Twitch because they're going to take down all the streams. Like, you just won't be able to watch. So it's like, what? You know? And I don't know. Maybe, like, my interest in other games, like, I buy a lot of games because I see people playing them on Twitch or on YouTube and stuff. And I'm like, that looks friggin' fun. But
it doesn't make sense to me because I get intellectual property. I get that they really clamp down on their stuff. It's annoying when they make it so like old games are just unobtainable until you have to do like a subscription service or something like that, and possibly either not retain it or not get the games that you want to play. But like you said, it blows my mind that they don't see that like that publicity's good. Like you said, I don't think I don't just come up and roll up and buy Nintendo games just because it's Nintendo. Like a lot of people do.
Yep.
But like you said, I kind of want to see it first. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Kills me.
Weird.
What are you going to do though?
I don't know.
I don't either. So yeah, that's I think that's all the.
That's nuts though.
Yeah.
It didn't the wild and crazy world of.
They just took down a like super prominent YouTube streamers or YouTube person stuff too, because he was modding, was it Breath of the Wild or something. It's like, I don't get it. It's so weird. But either way, here nor there. The topic at hand, the punching, as they say.
The punching.
Is...
Cue the sound effect.
All drum roll.
The last of us.
That's a symbol. That's a monster breaking out of hell.
That's right. Or a fungus man.
Oh, yeah, I guess that would be more in... Yeah, okay. I was just in my own world there. I was at a concert the other day. I'm still... Okay. Yeah, The Last of Us.
So, if you haven't heard of it, go find it.
There's no way.
I don't know. Like, if you've owned a PlayStation or lately watched the main show that everyone watched like a month or two ago. But The Last of Us was a show. It was developed in 2009. It came out in what year? 2013. And it was huge. It was a PlayStation exclusive, I believe, at the time. Probably still.
I think it still is.
It came out on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
Which is so freaking long ago.
It's crazy.
That was a huge hit. They re-released it on the PlayStation 4. They've remastered it just recently to... I think that people weren't super jazzed because it had a bunch of glitches, right? I think.
The remake one? I don't know. I mean, I thought people were happy with it. I don't know. I didn't have my finger on that pulse as much.
They at least, I think, delayed it because they wanted it to be better with how they saw how good the show had been received.
Yeah. I know they changed the character model a little bit of Ellie, so she didn't look as much like
that
Elliot Page.
Right. Yeah. And then Last of Us 2 came out.
Well, let's take a beat on Last of Us 1. Do you remember, because we were there, we lived this. In college, we were in the dorms when it came out. Do you remember how many people were playing The Last of Us when it came out?
I'm trying to think who all had PlayStations. I believe it was like you, me, it was Micah and Ben, because I think they had theirs.
And I think
Other people, yeah.
Michael had it, and there were in our group there were what 16 people that lived in our two unit little dorm spot. I think there were 3 people playing it at the same time, like on their systems. Awesome. And then I had friends who in other dorms that were also playing. It was like everyone that was a gamer was playing this game like the week it came out. And I would get motion sick playing it. So I remember I would try to watch. I would sit on your top bunk and I would watch you play this game, and then I'd start to feel sick and I'd like roll over and like hang on my phone or something. But I just remember how there was like a week or a week and a half where it was just like everyone that was a gamer wanted to just be playing this game.
Well, there's games previously that did a good job of like portraying a story well, where you got invested. There's plenty of games that did that well. Some games that were previously made by Naughty Dog, this company, like Uncharted, really felt cinematic, felt, really good. This was one of the first games, at least that I can remember, that hit all of that at once, where it had amazing story, amazing characters, really fun gameplay, and just felt like you were living like a show or a movie or something. But like, I don't know, it kind of just transcended most of what I'd played before that.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Ah, so cool. Yeah. And then The Last of Us 2. Sorry to... Yeah.
Oh, you're good. Which I haven't finished.
Oh!
I know.
Oh, Dave!
I know. My wife has played it like 3 times through. And
How? That's insane, though. Playing it more than once is more insane than never finishing it.
That's true.
I
don't... Yeah.
Oh.
I'm sorry, fans. I'll do my homework for next time.
But you, what did you think of as far as the first game's evolution to the second game, story aside? What did you think of in terms of that change or growth? Because that I saw mixed reviews about the story constantly, like harsh debates about the story and the plot and everything. But then when it comes to like the mechanics and actually playing the game, what it does, I think there are just less comments. I have thoughts, but I'm curious what your thoughts are, because you played the first one and part of the second one.
So first off, I think we can, if we're going to give a spoiler from here on, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
Worth playing, worth watching. I will say, I think the show follows the first game pretty closely. They change a few things, but it's pretty beat for beat in my head. Yeah, first game, amazing. It really grows both characters really well, of Ellie and, holy crap, I'm the worst with names.
Joel,
yes. I'm sorry. I swear, I like these games.
We're sending the Pinkertons to your house, bro.
But you have imperfect characters that do grow, and you just, even from the start, they, well, Ellie was, I feel like Ellie was kind of annoying at the very beginning, but she got very, like, she grew on you so fast, and you love her and Joel and the dynamic between the two, and she softens him up. He starts to like raise her a little bit as she grows, all amidst this like torn up world with tons of zombies and everything else. From the first game to the second game, I I so pretty early in the second game, they
Spoilers.
Yes, spoiler. They kill Joel off, and I don't even know how I feel about it, because it's like I love Joel. I want more to do with Joel, and they do some with like flashbacks and stuff like that. So he is somewhat in the game, but like I didn't feel done with that character. I know you have to do something to make the second game interesting, to have a story, to have something, and I don't mind focusing on Ellie. It's hard. I don't have a straight up answer of like, oh, I didn't like how they did it, or I did, but it's like I wish they would have done it a little differently, but I don't know how they would have. I don't know, because it just feels like, and maybe this is not getting to the end of the game, but I mean, basically you follow Ellie as she kind of deals with, like, she starts a family. She's figuring out what she can and can't do, like dealing with that, and with the revenge for the people that killed her dad, basically Joel. And I feel like, doesn't she, in the end, doesn't she end up just getting her revenge? And right?
Ellie?
Yeah.
So it's like a dud of an ending. It's this crazy build up, this culmination of two games. And I love this ending. I am such a huge fan of The Last of Us 2. I actually prefer the experience I had playing The Last of Us 2 in terms of storytelling and being engaged more than the first one. The first one I can replay, though. The second one I played one time. I don't think I'll ever play it again. I was sobbing when that game ended. No, but it leads into this beautiful culmination where Ellie and Abby meet again at this. They're at a boat. They're out by this water, and Abby is disheveled, and Ellie is in a rough spots, but nowhere near what Abby is at. And Abby has had this weird, similar, like, pseudo mimic journey as in the first game, Joel and Ellie, where Abby took in a vulnerable child and is like growing in the ways we saw Joel grow. And this child is also some of the heart that we saw Ellie as in the first movie, or the first game. And that hit me hard, right? But then there's this scene where it could end, right? The revenge could be taken out here, sort of deal. I don't even know if I like want to say what happens, even though we said spoilers, but it's brutal. It's painful. Okay. It's brutal. But for a lot of people, it wasn't satisfying in the way that they had anticipated. I thought it was great. I loved the story. I thought the end was devastating. And then there's this whole thing. This is what I will say. There's this whole subplot coming back to Joel teaching Ellie as he's maturing and aging. One of the things he wants to pass on is like, I want to be this this thing beyond my life, right? So he gives her a guitar, and he's like kind of trying to teach her music a little bit and trying to be there in her life when she is not a huge fan of him because of things that happen in the first game. It's a whole thing. And there's this beautiful song that they keep coming back to that Ellie learned on the guitar, and it is basically like the Joel theme song. And throughout this revenge mission that she's on, Ellie ends up losing a finger, maybe two fingers. And in the very end of the game, she's going to play the guitar sort of deal, and she's missing that last like conclusionary note. And it's just beautiful, poetic, like you can hear what the impact of revenge was. It's this dud of a song. It's a story that is painful to experience and be a part of and not satisfying. And the ending didn't feel good. And it's like, why would they make those decisions? And it's like that. To me, I felt engaged by the story in those ways. Like, I felt engaged by the revenge plot in the sense that it didn't feel good. I felt gross doing some of the things in the game. And then the end left me, like, literally sobbing, being like, this is so painful. But I loved it. It was, as far as an engaging storytelling, it had me the whole way.
So I'm trying to formulate thoughts because it's I feel like one of the things I did see, and I guess it's kind of what the creators intended one way or another. In the first one, weren't you given the choice at the end of the game, like the big turn?
Like with Abby and Ellie, you mean?
No, in the first game. I'm comparing.
Oh,
I think.
Do you mean
in
in
the original game? For when you get to the hospital.
Yep.
With Joel and Ellie, I think they gave you the choice at the beginning.
I don't think so. I think you have to kill the doctors.
I'm Googling.
Yeah, me too. I thought you had to, which
Oh, okay. You do. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you can.
It's been long enough because I was like, I feel like they gave you that's one of those weird game rumor things that I feel like I read somewhere that it was like, oh, in the PlayStation 3 version, you could make the choice, and then in the PlayStation 4 version, they changed it because they needed to have the second one come out.
Yep.
But because in my head, if there was a choice in the first one, it felt like there should have been
a choice in the second one.
I like having a choice, but you're also going through something very like a story that is laid out for you, like you said, where you were engaged with it, even if you didn't want to even finish. And it's one of those arguments you could get into of like games as a medium are getting elevated as we go, and to have an experience like that is probably I think it's probably a good thing, because we don't need games that just give you the happy rosy thing or like all choices if there's something that they want to show or have you experience. But yeah, it's hard. It's a thing you kind of have to wrestle with.
Which so I will say the spoiler, right? Because I think it relates well to that. So in the second one, it does end with our main character that we love, Ellie, killing the secondary character that we get to play for about half of the game, Abby. We kill all of Abby's friends, and then eventually Ellie kills Abby. And it is hard to do, because they put you in Abby's shoes for so long too. And the revenge feels like a failed mission pretty early on. It's like, why are you still doing this? And it is not
Got a truck if you hear
short,
that, I don't know.
and no, not at all. It is not short, sweet. It is a long, drawn out, painful, like graphic death, and it's like that's the story that they told. I was captivated by it. I know a lot of people did not. It was a very divisive game, from killing Joel to to the end. From letting you play as Abby, from killing Abby. It was a very divisive game. I loved it.
I would say, if you compare killing two dads, the way that they killed like Han Solo in Star Wars compared to this, I think that they did it. It was as like in your face and abrupt, but it felt like there was more of a reason, and it carried our character where it didn't feel like it did much of that in those movies. So at the very least, I think that they did that well. Whether you kill off a beloved character or not is up to the people that made the character.
It's true.
But yeah,
which I think some of the decisions about like you're saying, like the people who made these characters, they had a story in mind with this game. This game was both of them, but I mean, like the Last of Us first game, right? Like you were saying, it elevated gaming. Like it told such a captivating story in such an incredible way, where the gameplay was there, but really this was an act of storytelling. And I think that's part of why it translated so well to a movie or to a show. And then with how they did the show, you know that the showrunners like loved this game. That you know that this was like a passion project. So I am curious your thoughts on that. As far as translating the game to a movie, what was your thoughts on that? What was your experience like as somebody who played the game, loved the game, and then got anticipated for the show and watched the show?
So there's probably been a couple shows or movies that translated games fairly well, but it doesn't have a good track record. It doesn't tend to work. But they hit it out of the park. I mean, it is... I have little things here and there, but for the most part, like, you feel like it's the same world that you're in. Like, I watched somebody or heard people talking, or even just my wife talking about how some of the scenery feels exactly like some of the levels in the game. Like, from the buildings to the rundown nature of a world 10, 15 years, post-apocalypse. And I think it was a game that lended itself to it because it was built almost like a show. At least it felt that way. And I think that's a testament to, if you're going to make a single player game, you should write it with a narrative arc like that you can, because that's a good way for narrative arcs to happen. But it how do you say it? Like there were moments where they almost shot for shot did the same thing as the game, but it worked. Like in one of the opening sections when the apocalypse first kind of starts, there's a series of events with like Joel running with his daughter and his brother, and right when kind of poop hits the fan, it was like exactly like the game. And just like the game did, when Joel loses his daughter, it rips your heart out in the show. Yeah. And it's just thing after thing that you're like, that could have been handled poorly or could have not hit, just hit perfectly in the show. Yep. And I will say, like, artful with their videography, with their storytelling. I get tired of shows that hold your hand, like, or movies that hold your hand, because there was an example that I actually I half missed because I'm a dumb. But there's a scene toward the beginning of one of the first or second episodes where a kid stumbles into a town and they bring him in, and they're talking to him. They're like, "Oh, where are you from? Are you with anyone?" They're kind of laying the scene of what this apocalypse is like.
Yep.
And they check him, and my dumb brain, when they check him and it went red, I was like, "Oh, red means he's negative." In my head, it's like, no, green is good, red is bad. And they didn't do it like some shows. So it's the captain of the guards sitting here talking to this kid. They check him, and instead of like doing cutaways where the captain looks at the guard and the guard's like, "No, he's no good, we gotta kill him," it's as subtle as you see out of focus behind the kid, the like the thing that checks him has the bad color.
Yep.
And she tells him all kinds of nice things, and you're like, "Oh, he's gonna be okay, like they're gonna get him taken care of." And it's like, no. Immediately after that, they introduce Joel, and he has to toss that kid's body into the burn pile. What a way to establish a world to say there's no hope after you've been bitten, and there's no mercy.
Yep.
And they did it without any of the like kitschy, or not kitschy, just heavy-handed or lazy storytelling. And the same, I had another scene that I hope you noticed that was awesome. There's I'm rabbit trailing, but
No, go for it.
When you follow Joel's daughter, and they do an amazing job of making you like her. She's established as a character.
Yep.
And then it's heartbreaking when they kill her.
Yeah.
But she goes to this older family's house next door. You're out of focus. Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
You're good. And it's a normal thing. Like, everyone's had either that neighbor or grandparent when you're younger. At times can feel a little boring or annoying to have to go hang out with.
Yeah.
But they're like, it's good for them and it's good for you and whatever. But they go, and you see this old lady, and she's kind of creepy. I forget how she gets infected. They don't mention, but she was in like the hospital where other people were having trouble. But you don't know anything about the infection yet.
Yep.
You, through like suspense and everything else, you're following Joel's daughter, and she's like checking movies and stuff, and you see out of focus behind her the lady go through basically like a seizure or like a stroke, and you're like, what the heck's going on?
Yeah.
And then she goes still after that, and that was one of the creepiest things I've seen lately in some show. And they didn't like come in for close-ups and show her eyes like start to twitch, or like, there's ways you could do it that would have probably still been creepy, but would have felt really heavy-handed for you to like, done in a way that doesn't have any trust for the audience or the viewer to like see things or to pick up on subtlety, because that subtlety made it so much more scary, because you're like, she doesn't know, and you may not have noticed it if you weren't looking well enough, and that's how like scary this thing is that's cropping up. And it was just like, why can't every show tell stories this way?
Yeah. There was a beautiful subtlety to a lot of the storytelling in this. I mean, I think that's a great example. Sarah in the house with the old people, but I think there are, when Ellie is there in the cult, I forget what the dude's name is in the cult.
Is his name David? Is it? There's a David involved.
It probably is. Yeah. David is the preacher, isn't he? Yeah. But they did such a good job. Literally from the second you meet him, you're like, this guy's freaking off. This is not the guy, right?
His name is David.
Yeah, classic David things, honestly.
We start cults.
I would join your cult in a
Speaking of
bro.
which, I've got an opportunity for you.
Sign me up, I'm in. Hey. Yeah, so I think they did a great job with subtlety with things like that, especially with characters they put into it. I wish they had more of that style of suspense and that level of energy around the infected later on, because I feel like that episode displayed like a very specific type of suspense and fear around that. And I think later on it was a very different type of scare that it was still fun. It was still great. But I think that episode in that house when you're watching her turn in the background, that was great. That was one of my favorite like shots of the entire show, honestly.
I would say that's my one little, like, kind of what you said. I was talking with Jess about it, and she could put it better for what she was thinking, so I'm probably getting it wrong, but kind of wishing for more gameplay, but like more interaction with the zombies and the danger or something like that, because it felt like it came in bursts, and then it felt like the rest of the world was safe, or not safe, but like, does that make sense? Like,
yeah, I think
I don't know,
when you play the game you're constantly running, fighting, jumping, like there's no pauses in sense of gameplay. You don't sit down at a camp and it doesn't take 30 minutes, right? You just keep running, and then there's a 4 or 6 minute cutscene, and then you're running again and shooting. So I do think that there was some of that they didn't have in here very much, or they could have maybe had more of. It's
going to be different because it's a game and a movie or a show, but
But I agree. I think some of the threat of the infected didn't feel as threatening when you go an episode and you don't see an infected, and it's like, what are they in danger walking in the woods? I don't know. Or in the wilderness, I don't know. But I think my main complaint is that I wish it was 1 to 2 episodes longer. I think that this show took the game and the story from the game and said, we're telling the story again. And they made a couple minor changes that I thought were improvements. So like when they leave the city, they run out of the city, it was infected was the threat, not the city guards chasing them. I thought that was a great change. The Bill and Frank episode, that they took this tiny beat in the game, made it a beautiful, crazy, cool story inside the world, and it's not at all the same Bill and Frank we have in the game. Make you want to bawl your eyes out in one episode of the show with just introduced characters. Exactly. And I was like, they elevated it. They took the source material and made it better. That was my opinion. So I also wanted to see more of, especially the Ellie and Joel relationship. It was in the show. It was good. Bella Ramsey, I think she did. I think they did such an excellent job at bringing Ellie to life. Loved it. That performance was great. And then Pedro Pascal, so good for Joel.
Crazy good.
I wanted to see more of them because I thought the switch between, Ellie is the kid I have to transport to. Ellie is the person who is my world. Ellie is my daughter, right? Ellie represents the things that I lost that now I'm nothing without, right? That switch, and then Ellie being someone who cares for Joel and teaches Joel even when she doesn't mean to. It's like those things. So I think a great example, when they're traveling and they meet the couple out in the wilderness and they stay at their house for a day and then they leave. I think I would have been fully content with 40 minutes after they leave there of not world building, but relationship building between Ellie and Joel. Another conflict that isn't high stakes. But I mean, we saw that they can do relationship building with the Bill and Frank episode in a way that is so in depth and fun and engaging. And I wanted to see that same thing with this, father-daughter relationship dynamic. I wanted to see that there.
So in the game, I'm pretty sure there's a time jump, right? Is it literally just when he's recovering? I can't remember. I feel like they do it really well in the game where you I feel like you get to that point where you see their relationship solidify like that. And I think you're right. Like, looking back at the show, there's definitely a dynamic, but like you said, I don't know if there's a point where I feel like it really clicked like that, or like,
yeah, I feel like after Ellie cares for Joel when he's injured, Joel then tracks Ellie down, and Ellie has broken out of the cult, and Joel shows up then. I think that was what they were trying to do, as the relationship is different now. They trust each other now. They care for each other and trust each other. And it was good, but I think there's a lot more to the Joel-Ellie relationship than that. And that was great, and I think that story beat of this shared trauma and terror and these things that they learned they could trust each other was great. But I think there was also, and they get into some of this, like the joke book. When Ellie's reading the joke book, I loved every time that happened, because I was seeing this part of their personalities that clashed, but it was like this playful banter that was great and engaging. But I also wanted to see the scenes longer, drawn out. Give me more of Joel talking about his daughter to Ellie. Give me that scene where he's finally because he's like, don't talk about my daughter. You don't talk about my daughter. You don't talk about my daughter. And then finally he opens up to Ellie about it, and it's this short snippet of this conversation. It's like, give me more of that. I could sit for 15 minutes and hear that conversation and hear Ellie ask questions and watch Ellie realize, oh, I don't think I would have been friends with this person. That light bulb. And they do so well in the game with Ellie being like, I would have bullied her. That's hilarious. And it's also part of this relationship that I think would have been fun to explore in the show. But I get it. They only had for a 9-episode season. I loved it. I think that's my biggest complaint, is I wanted a little more time on some of these notes that I thought were really special.
And it's interesting because I'm trying to think of what episodes, if they even could have just switched out, because I think going back with Ellie to school was a good beat and worthwhile, but part of me is it might have been a good episode 1, 2, 3 of the next season if they're doing another. I'm assuming they're going to, because she doesn't have a relationship in this series, in this first season, and I felt like that could have, because like you said, there could have just been another episode of just them dynamic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I have such a hard time with that episode because I loved that they showed us that, and they were like, this is what Ellie grew up in. Look at where she was raised. And that even in that, she found this special person for her. She found someone who she was falling for and was falling for her, and it was captivating to be like, this person who's had such trauma, raised in such a horrible environment, can still have this beautiful thing. So I liked that story. I also thought with what they did in the Bill and Frank episode, it was the same. I thought it served a lot of the same purpose, but with different characters. So I loved it both times, and I wouldn't want either of those taken out, but I also want more of the Joel Ellie. So it's like, that's where I'm like, don't cut anything. Leave all the show that you have, but give me more.
Yeah.
Okay. Last episode. You talking about the introduction of Joel, he's throwing the body on the fire, right?
That he's carrying a body out of a living person at the end.
Right?
Full circle.
It's literally full circle, and the reason he's doing that, we know, is Ellie became his world, and he's basically giving up the world to save his. But before he saves Ellie, when he's in the process of saving her in the hospital, or what he thinks is saving her, whatever, however you want to interpret it, right? Not a question of should they have operated, shouldn't they have operated. I don't like that argument that I've seen online. I don't care. It's what happened in the story. What did you think about how they portrayed the brutalization that Joel did when he was going through the hospital?
As far as he... Oh. You mean like the way he did it?
Yeah, the way he did it. How long or short they gave us to focus on that. Because I reflect on the game, and the game, until you are in the room with the doctors, it feels like everyone is a bad guy. Everybody's got an automatic gun. Everyone is shooting at you.
It's the final level.
Exactly. In the game, you pick up recordings, and then they're like, we don't know if this is actually going to work. It's probably not. Oh, we've already had test subjects and all of them died. This is probably a shitty idea. Like, in the game, they are more overt about the likelihood of failure, and that these people that are doing these things, while they may have good intentions, there's also a lot of things that it's like, clearly this isn't the move now. It's more heavy-handed in the game that this is maybe not a good decision. And in the show, I think, and I like this change, it felt more like this could actually work, and less of a question about if it would. And in the show, I think I was going, ooh, I like some of these people he just killed. They're people that I felt I was angry at in the game, and in the show I'm like, I cared for that person. You know, like, I don't know them. They didn't say a line, but I'm like, oh, I shot that dude in the back, right? Like,
yeah, it's rough because I'm trying to think of like Joel's movement as a character, because he opens up his heart to Ellie, and pretty much only Ellie. Like, he does have that interaction with like Sam and Henry, and in the game, don't they get out? Sorry, Sam and Henry were the brothers that they meet in that town that they escape the town with together.
No, I mean, it's just, you mean, does the kid live in the game?
In the game.
No, the kid dies in the game too.
Okay.
Right?
Man, it's been so long.
Am I crazy? I could have sworn that kid died. Now I've got to look it up.
Okay. It's been so long.
Yeah.
And they tell us all of the our all our fans, play the game before you talk about it.
Yeah, they die in the game.
Okay. Because Joel has moments with those characters and does grow, but and I think it I think I like the show better with it, with how they did it, because it makes Joel's decision bigger, both that he's choosing Ellie, but that he's committed that I'm going to throw everything away for Ellie.
Yeah.
And it's like before he makes the decision, it is kind of like the world or Ellie. There's two big, I don't know, it's like two really big, weighty things. And it makes him do it where he doesn't have anything to like make him flip-flop or have the balances change at all. So I don't know. I think I like it better. What do you think?
I liked it more the way they did it in the show. I liked it in the show. It was short. It wasn't, I mean, it was long enough to be brutal, but it was short enough that it was like they're not just dwelling on how he's killing these people that are in theory trying to be good. I think it would have been even more powerful of a like conflicting ending if the two guards that were originally taking him out of the building were not just giant jerks. I think if they would have been walking him out and like had a sweet conversation about like dude, you getting her here is going to save the planet. Like, I cannot believe that, like, we thought you were going to die sort of deal. Like, I think that would have been a fun dynamic of that conversation of a wholesome thing. And then he killed, because I think they tried to portray how these are not all bad people. And he has to kill all of them if he wants to save Ellie right now. Yeah. And obviously, he said that, like, they made it so clear that he said at the end, oh, well, you'll just keep coming after her. So I think seeing some of those kills when he gets into the hall there's a guy that starts running away and he shoots the guy in the back. And it's like, that's what I think of is I had to kill everybody, or you'll just keep coming after her. Powerful. I thought they did a better job in the show than the game, but I still think both were great. I really liked the ending. I thought they did a great job.
I think the game makes sense as a game for the ending. Like you said, getting more conflict for you, like what decision is the right decision. Because I think they really wanted it to be like that. They wanted it to be, we don't know what the right choice is. There isn't a good choice.
Yeah.
And I think in the show, while there isn't a good choice, we're more watching Joel make his choice, both this big choice, but then his choice with Ellie. Like, I love Ellie. Ellie's now my family.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
Yeah. Family.
Family.
We drive fast cars. Family.
That's right.
I loved it.
I did too.
I loved it.
And they brought in the director of the games to do a lot. I haven't watched a lot of behind the scenes, but just, my goodness, well shot, well paced for the most part, well cast. Like you said, I liked every character. They brought in Anna Torv, the actress that played Tess.
Oh,
just for 2 episodes. Yeah. 2 or 3. Amazing. Like Nick Offerman, 1 episode.
Yep.
It's just like, holy poop. Did you like the head of the uprising in the city in whatever that was called.
Okay. I am a fan of that actress from other stuff she's done. I had no idea that she was going to be in the show. So when I first saw her, I definitely had this like fangirl moment. She was in a horror anthology movie, and she was my favorite part about it. She was in a movie with Frodo. Why can't I remember his name?
Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood. She's great. I was a fan of her. I think they did not utilize her as well as they could have. It felt like they were setting up this season spanning story of this person's missing. We think that this random guy did it traveling through. Let's get Joel. And it ended the next episode with a baby clicker attacking her. And the town, like it was a fun story beat, but I wanted more of it. I thought it was very engaging, and I liked most of those actors. I enjoyed their performance there, and I was hooked into that. But I was also like, if it's only going to be this incredibly short storyline where I'm not following, I don't have a whole episode in their shoes in the same way that Bill and Frank episode was. So
yes,
yeah,
her whole motivation is her brother that everyone loved, and the only reason we knew everyone loved him was because like 2 or 3 people said we all loved him.
Yeah,
and I think that end of it, like you said, fell a little bit flat because they could have just done more with it.
Yeah,
but she was great as the, like, I don't know what you call it, but like the unlikely character to be the leader, but is the leader and is ruthless as the leader.
Yep,
was great.
I was very impressed with using the little kid clicker to kill her off. Like, showing that, I was like, I feel like that was kind of a bold move.
I think I'd agree. Yeah. Trying to think if there's any. I don't know if there's anything there with like the fact that she was trying to kill a kid and a kid killed her, but
yeah, maybe. I
don't know. That might be drawn too far.
I will say too, that scene where then there's the sniper in the building, and Joel goes up and takes the sniper out, and then he's using the sniper rifle. That there were a couple beats in the show, but I was like, this feels like the game.
Yes.
That was fun. I picture though that if I didn't play the game, I wouldn't have enjoyed that as much, because it just felt maybe a little too convenient for what was happening.
For the setup of that scene.
Yeah. Am I still out of focus? Come on.
I think let's see. I think it's worth a rating. I had a thought. So we didn't talk a ton about, so the gameplay in the games is like there's story beats, some cutscene type stuff, but a lot of it is you navigating America to get from one end of the country to the other, to try to find the fireflies, to take what you found is someone immune. God, I guess we didn't, man. Sorry, fans, if you haven't ever watched this. I guess we did talk about spoilers and everything else.
Yeah,
whatever. But the gameplay itself is interesting because now some of it almost feels clunky to me, even the newest one. But I think it does aid itself. Like, so I actually haven't played Resident Evil, but a lot of people talk about the older Resident Evil games being part of their appeal is the limited movement and vision and stuff like that makes a zombie game much more scary and suspenseful and everything else. This game, I've had numerous moments where I've like had my heart pounding. Yep. I've felt like freaked out by the noises coming through or like where things are. I've been playing the second one with Jess on hard, and your like stop and listen ability where you can kind of see where things are around you is very limited, which stinks because I'd like to know where everything is.
Yep.
But you're third person, you're running around apocalyptic America, and you're fighting zombies, different variant zombies. You're fighting raiders, army, kind of army type groups, paramilitary groups, crafting some of your weapons and things. Very limited ammo, a lot of sneaking,
Lots of sneaking,
and some random puzzles.
Yeah.
Gotta move the garbage can.
Drop the ladder down.
Yes. Which I did see they did a couple times where he had to lift Ellie up to, to go do
Every
something.
time I was like, that's in the game. I know that.
Push triangle. Yeah. Where was I going with all that? Just the game is a ton of fun. But you got to go into it that it's going to be, I don't know what you call it. Like, it's not the same as like satisfying all skill based games.
Yeah.
You're I think deliberately hobbled a little bit. Not the right word, but like there's limitations that are almost deliberately there so that the game is harder.
Yeah.
And what was I going to go into? I think we should rate the stuff. I don't know if we just rate it as the whole thing as one, or what do you think?
Well, first, tell me your favorite episode.
That's so hard.
I know.
Oh, by the way, music, amazing in the game, in the show.
Yeah. In both, it's so good. In the game, there's you're walking along, and then there's this section of time where it just the camera like pans out, and you have this beautiful music, and it turns into a montage.
And like another random thing is this came out when we were in college, and I was in the phase where I was trying to watch and see a lot of different artistic videos, motion graphics, all kinds of things. This show was like an example. I think I showed the class because it was so cool. They did that opening sequence where you see like the fungus growing, and they have like news clips and things kind of mixed in, and then it goes into The Last of Us, and like your loading screen or like your opening screen is this like somewhat peaceful, but you can tell the world is kind of effed, like window with the blinds still blowing in the wind, or like in the second one it's the boat, and just all of that is just like, this gave so many details, done so right.
Yeah, it's that's it. The details, like they really put the details in for like the story and everything like that.
Yes.
Yeah. One big complaint though with the games, and you made me think of this when you mentioned lifting, boosting each other up to, those puzzles and stuff are obnoxious. Like,
yeah, kind of.
Cut them out, because they're not hard. That's the thing too. They're not challenging puzzles. They're just time-consuming puzzles. Oftentimes, where it's like, you know exactly what to do. I know exactly where I need to take the ladder, but I have to walk slowly over to where the ladder is, pick up the ladder, walk slowly back, put it there, wait for Ellie to say, "Are you ready for me?" and then reach down. Like, it's like, come on, just. If you're not going to make it challenging, don't have it in.
And in the second one, I think I watched this. It was like either like Nakey Jakey or somebody was talking about.
We stand Nakey Jakey.
Yes, we do. One of the best like things you can do in the game is they have like a whole physics engine for your rope.
The rope,
when you want to like play with like a rope or play with using to get the like electrical things connected, like you're kind of making the power connected. That was so good and like just used like 3 times in the game. But yeah,
the game, in my opinion, is some of the combat is fun, None of it is like, this is the best combat in games. Like, none of it is that. The game is so focused on telling a good story that I think the gameplay, and I'm very guilty of this, I think the gameplay is kind of overlooked with some of its flaws or the things that it could have done better, because it tells such a captivating story. So like the second one, the second one I don't think pushed any boundaries with gameplay. I remember when it first came out, there were reviews and they were like, now you can pick everything up just by walking by, and it's like, okay, that's not new, and the combat isn't new. It's not. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, and but I do think it could have been better mechanics and gameplay, but that those are overlooked because the story is so dang good.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Okay, so favorite episode. Do you have a favorite episode?
I think mine comes down to 2. Is that fair?
Yes.
I think there were so many parts of the first episode that wowed me with how they were telling the story that I was just like, this is awesome. I'm here for it. You have both like brought this world in a way that just all those details, those little shots and everything else, just it felt like an art piece. It was so good.
Yep.
And then I think the episode with Bill and Frank, what can you do?
I know.
It's such a good establishment of like 2 characters. You walk through like their whole life in one episode and you feel for them. You want them to be okay. You're sad for them in the end. And it's just like, that takes something special to do that in one episode.
Mm-hmm.
So those 2.
I'm gonna say 2 also then.
Okay.
I'm gonna say the last episode, and it probably changes every time I watch watch an episode. But I think the last episode right now is my favorite. Honestly, the culmination of the show leading into Joel's big lie, and Ellie just being like, okay, where it was so good. It was I was not watching a show. I was like there, man. I loved it. I thought it was so beautifully done. The giraffe scene, I was crying. The hospital scene, I was crying. The big lie, I was crying. And I loved it. I thought that last episode was excellent and a great close to the season. And then Bill and Frank is my second favorite episode. The Romeo and Juliet, it's like so many stories have tried to do it. A lot of stories have done it really well. But I think it's tricky to navigate that Romeo and Juliet we're both taking ourselves out in a way that is still captivating, and like the theme is like this love and care, and it's the love is so overwhelming and encompassing, and to be able to tell that story in a world that they showed us, like, this is gross, like this world is gross, there's evil things here, that literally that the infected are, it's like an overwhelming change to everything, and then to be able to still have in that world such a captivating love story, I'm a sucker for it. And I thought the way that they did that ending and that send off to those characters, I'm a sucker for it. I loved it.
I think those are good choices. I think you've done well, sir.
Okay, so what's your rating? First, let's rate the game also. So first, let's first do the game.
I would be remiss. My wife, who's a huge fan of this series, She heard a little bit of what we were saying. She said, "You haven't played enough of the second game because you use the rope quite a bit more than what I'm saying." So, at the very least, and we should probably revisit this at some point when I actually play the second one. Maybe we can do a revisited.
Heckin' yeah.
Okay.
I won't play the second game again though. That's my
okay.
I played it once and I loved it, but I probably won't ever play it again.
I got you.
Or if I do, I'm not playing the last part.
The Last of Us.
Exactly. So I think we should rate it maybe out of bullets, found bullets, because they're so hard to freaking find. Or no, out of Cousin Vinny's Pizza and Coke is what we're rating it out of, because I remember, I think the night that you and others got the game, we got Cousin Vinny's again. We would get Cousin Vinny's at school.
Oh. So, what you all need to know, I feel like near every college, there's some food eatery or pizza joint that's open very late, because they understand that college kids don't mind getting pizza at like 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I was at a school in Rochester, we had a place called Zonies that was open till like 3 a.m. and had every kind of calzone you could think of. But Cousin Vinny's was a pizza place that for like $10 you could get a medium and a drink or two and breadsticks or something like that, or maybe a little bit more.
I think it was like $10 or $12, medium pizza, breadsticks, and a 2-liter of Coke.
Mm-hmm. And we'd go in together on that and hate ourselves because it tasted amazing. Tasted pretty good. It wasn't
at
it was
4 in the morning. It tasted really freaking good. Yeah.
But man, it was a rock in your stomach.
Yeah.
But yes, I think you're right. So we'll pizza pie, Cousin Vinny's pizza pies out of 10.
Yeah.
Or slices.
Enough slices already. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to go first on the game?
It's so hard.
I've got mine down. I'll lock it in right now.
Okay, go for it.
I'm gonna say 7 Cousin Vinny's pizza slices out of 10, and only because I think I am not a huge. I played this game 3 times now. Mm-hmm. I've probably watched it 3 times and played it 3 times. The story is so great. The voice acting is excellent. They have updated the graphics with remasters and remakes of the game, but it is still not like the best mechanics of a game. There are things that, like, especially the combat, it's not my favorite combat. I think there are things they polished up in the second one. The second one I would give a higher rating. And if I was just rating the story of the game, I'd be like 9.5 out of 10. But if I'm actually saying like the gameplay itself, how I enjoyed it, how I didn't, especially because of the puzzles, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the puzzles. I didn't think they were tricky. I just thought they were annoying. Typically, it's like the same puzzle 7 times. Come on, bro. Yeah. So I'll say 7 pizza slices, Cousin Vinny's pizza slices out of 10.
I don't want to. I had very similar thoughts, so I don't want to like straight up copy, but like I'd say for the game, like you said, story, yeah, like 9 out of 10, easy. Game overall, probably a solid 7, because I guess as my game like loving to play games has changed as I've gotten older, I'm really bad at playing single player games now, because I really enjoy playing games together online and stuff. But yeah, the gameplay is fun. There's a lot there to have fun with, like the sneaking and everything else, but it may not be the first thing that I go for usually. And it's a little clunky, but like I think it is fun, and then as a means to that story, it bumps it way up. Because like if the story sucked, and you were just doing that gameplay, like it would be fun, but I feel like it'd be like a 5 out of 10 maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think 7 out of 10. 7 Cousin Vinny's pizza slices out of 10.
I love it.
Maybe they'll sponsor us. Hopefully not after I already said that it sits like a rock.
Oh, I wouldn't take their money. It's probably soaked in grease.
I'm not above greasy money. No. I think for the second one, I don't even know if I'm allowed to since I haven't finished it. So if you want to rate the
finish
second
it
one,
first.
go for it.
I mean, second one for me is probably 8.5 out of 10. I enjoyed the second one so much.
I'd say a solid. What am I got to give it a new parameter though, because we didn't Cousin Vinny's for that one.
No, we did not.
Maybe. How gross do we want to get? Throat ripped out. No. Give it 9. Ooh, 9 dad puns out of 10.
Oh, that's good. 9. Okay. I like it. Do you have a justification for that?
So we've talked through like the little things that we did or didn't like. I just think that staying true to the actual story, that's something that I guess in two factors. One side of it, adaptations, it's such a rocky road where either like you have to either divert from the story in a way that makes sense or for a reason or tells a better story, and you have to do that, or you have to stay true to the story and tell it well. And I think they stayed true to the story. They told it well, and where they diverged, they did it for a reason, and it was good. And there honestly weren't many. I don't think there was any really like dud episodes. It was all other than like that one in the city could have been more, but it wasn't a dud. Like so, just the whole season carried through. Which that's another one. It's like I love The Witcher. I love that show, but I feel like there's episodes that fall a little flat for me.
Yeah.
Or like it didn't carry me the entire way through the way it could have in some ways. But yeah, so on that end of it, did great. And then like I guess what I'm trying to say is like on its own as just what it is, it's amazing. And then as an adaptation of a game and a previous thing, it also did amazing because it's amazing on its own, and they also like cast the characters super well, shot it really well, so just all of that works together for a 9 out of 10.
Yep. Okay, so I'm gonna be a little lower than you on this one though. I'm gonna say 8.5. Punny bad dad jokes out of 10.
I see.
I'm knocking it down a half step only because I think if I hadn't played the game, I would have wanted more. I wanted more after only seeing the show, and I already knew the characters, and it wasn't like they gave us new characters in the show. They're the same characters, and they were just brought to life on the screen, and I wanted more. And I feel like if I didn't play the game, I would have been like, I think I would have felt like something more is lacking. And I really do want more. It's like my complaints are not anything that they did, but it's the things that I wish they gave us more of. So, and that is, I mean, really, I'm pretty frustrated by that. The Joel Ellie, it's so good. Give us one more episode. So I'm going to give it 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I think what they did was excellent, but I think of like other shows I'm watching, like Succession, or other shows like the first 2 seasons, even of Arrested Development, which is it's a comedy, so it's harder to compare. But I look at that shows that I would be like, these are 9s or 10s for me, and I don't feel the same way about this show by itself as I would about some of those shows. Storytelling. The Last of Us did an excellent job. I think Succession does a better job. I think Succession does a better job of laying out a story that's a little less heavy-handed. Last of Us, I think, handholds a little bit more. But I still love it. I still think it's a great show. I think the second season might make it a 9, because I think it might give me more of what I'm like, I need that in this season. And maybe when I see the second season, it'll fill some of that in for me and make me feel happier with the characters that they gave me.
Gotcha.
But I loved it. I think it's a must watch for people who love the game. I think it's a fun watch for people who have never played the game that enjoy these type of epic dramas.
Yeah. I'm it's interesting because I'm trying to think if I've been clouded by the fact that I like the game or like, you know what I mean? Like that you knew it already, but like, I don't know. Do you think they should have told a different story or a different story in that world?
This is hard for me because I also think that the way they did The Last of Us is going to both drive games and game adaptations in the future. It's incredibly profitable. It's massive success. So I want to see better video games and video game adaptations in the future. And I think this paved the way. So in that sense, no, not at all. I think that I would have been a lot happier with the storytelling of this show if they made this 2 seasons or spent more time on extra storytelling and world building like Bill and Frank. There's so much more they can go into in the show that they just can't in a game as well because you're playing as certain characters. So I just think there were more opportunities that I think they'll do in later seasons, because I think now that they've proved its success, I would be surprised if there aren't 3 more seasons. I think 2 more seasons just to do the game. And I think another, you probably have another 10 episodes of just world building, Bill and Frank-esque stories that tie in. So I think we have 3 more seasons. I just wish that they started out with more hope that they would get renewed. Because I think it plays like they were trying to tell all of it in one season.
It's like, I think I agree. I think they could have done a few more episodes, but I also think had they done the first story in two seasons, had they not expanded a lot, I feel like it would have felt slow in the pacing or something like that. I don't know.
Okay, so on that note then, just hear this out, right? The start of the show, I think how quickly they jumped into everything was great. I think we could have had 1 more episode in the safe zone there. More background on Joel in that part of his life, I think would have been really engaging and fun.
Them doing a job or something.
Yeah, a job or something. I think the play, what is it called? The place where they're like, we got to get Joel, my brother's dead. That area.
Yeah.
There's so much story there that I was engaged with that I wanted to see. The cult, I think the fact that happened and was resolved in 1 episode, it was a little bit of a letdown. But also like the stress of Ellie's situation and cannibalism and assault and all of those things, that's a lot So I don't know how long you string that out, but I think that's more than one episode. And then the Joel Ellie relationship, that's where I'm like, there's so much more that without more Bill and Frank, I go, there are more episodes. And then you add in the Bill and Frank, the tertiary world building and characters that they have an opportunity to do. And I just think there's a lot more that I would have enjoyed.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the second season. Hopefully it goes
Me too,
real
bro.
well.
I'm hyped. Okay, well, that's The Last of Us. Talking about The Last of Us.
It's a lot of fun. Glad to be back. Hopefully get these out fast.
And we have already watched an anime that we're hyped to talk about. So if you want to watch it in preparation for when we do eventually talk about, it's called The Devil is a Part-Timer. It's on Crunchyroll and everywhere you get your nerdtainment. And we can't wait to talk about it with you.
It's an interesting story. I've been looking into more of the back stuff of like the person that made the manga, and there's a story there of like, because 9 years before they got the second season out.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
So there's some meaty things there.
Nice. Well, I will also say, as somebody that's not a huge anime stan, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. So there's your teaser. Go watch it if you haven't, so you're ready to come in with spoilers.
Yeah. Sounds good. I think we talked about what we're listening to right now and watching, and I think those are recommendations.
I will say, everybody go listen to August Burns Red. I just saw them live. I had never seen them live in concert, and I just saw them live. It was a killer set. And I went and listened to all their music again. I was like, I'm falling in love with them. This is they're one of the greats as far as metalcore goes. I think they do a great job. So go check out August Burns Red. That's my pitch.
Mine is to go check out June Freeze's Blue. And there's your dad joke.
Oh, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do with you?
Kick me off, probably, but that's okay.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.
I've been punching you this whole time. My name is Josh.
Go put some ice on those bruises and a big old T-bone on your eye.
Yeah.
Signing off.